This is the Snow Cone Cup rocket, or more correctly, I think the vendor, which is Burke, calls this a snow flower cup. This was actually a snow cone that I got at the ULA launch, and after I ate the snow cone, I thought, I'll make a rocket out of this for Odd Rock. So this one turned out pretty well. I've flown it once on a C65, the Estes Super C, and I'll show you that flight here in a second, but I wanted to kind of describe the design. So the cup is straightforward. I have really three assemblies, right? So this is the main assembly. It's a cylinder. It's got a little bit of a step in it because of the cup, and it's Gorilla Glued in there. And what it has, in addition to just being the outer cylinder, is it has a 1/8 inch launch lug that goes kind of through the middle, so kind of something you have to do on these rockets that are kind of drag stabilized and wider, and then an engine mount for an 18mm. I'm going to use the Super C, and when I put the engine in, I made sure that it was basically a press fit. I put tape around it. Usually I try to put tape on the outside, but I can't do that, and I'll show you why in a second. But the engine goes in there. You can't see them here, but you can see it on the Tinkercad, which I'll put a link to in the comments, that there's vents at the top of the engine. So what happens is the engine propels it forward. There's a thrust string built in there, and then when the ejection fire charges, it's vented to the rest of this ring. And so in that ring then, what I do is I wound up the shock cord, and then I have sort of this spindle that fits in there. So this slides in there, and around that goes, I've used maybe 2 meters of flagging tape, which fit comfortably. And then it's held in place by an end cap. And based on my friend Steve's experience with these rear eject things, the problem is that they have a tendency to come out, when the motor hits peak thrust. So what I did to prevent that was I used some stretched thread, and I put, the way I found that it worked, it was still kind of tricky, is I put a small nut on it, and then doubled it over, fished the nut down into those vent holes, and then made it come back up. So when I put it, and you can see the thread from the first launch there, when I packed everything in, then I tied the thread and pushed it to the side so it doesn't hit in front of the motor, and that holds in this base plate that seemed to do a fine job of holding in the streamer. So motor fires, this gets held in. When the eject happens, it burns through the thread and releases this, and then the gases push the whole thing out. So it seemed to work pretty good. So I have I'm pleased with this design. Again, I've only flown it once, but I think there's also some potential to remix it for either a bigger motor or certainly different types of lampshades and spools and cups of other kinds. So hopefully it's useful.
He's flying a Snow Cone Cup. This is a C53 Super C. Expecting 200 feet. He's ready with a camera. A1 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Nice base drag on that one.
Come on.
Good streamer. Very nice.